Right, we should be live. Let's get this going. All right. All right, so how's everybody doing? I do apologize for the late start. We had some technical difficulties. Whew. Allergies. All right. All right. Boom. All right. Audio check. Let's do an audio check. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Audio check 1 2. Audio check 1 2. No, it's not only for Canada, but this is one of the official this is one of the official launches for Canada because I have launched a Canadian consumer law program as well. So this is just to give my fellow Canadians their version of consumer law. So we're going to be talking about a lot of things, but I'm using this opening to speak to my people in Canada. You can still ask me all questions in general, but the first part of this live, I'm going to be talking to my Canadian people, and then I'll go back to, getting everything ready for the US version and stuff. So for those of you in Canada that's been asking me about consumer law, you've been asking about repaying your own credit, you've been asking me about the laws. Well, guess what? So the Canadian program is live, all right? The Canadian program is live. You heard it here first. The Canadian consumer law credit program is live. It's called Forbidden Credit Canada. So I've made a few books, written a few books, and I am going to preview y'all and show y'all what the Canadian version is like. So this is the Canadian version of Forbidden Credit. Canadian Forbidden Credit. This is your version. So why did I create a program for Canada? Well, I've gotten a lot of emails, a lot of requests, and I was told that, Daraine, the US has a great credit program. Y'all know what to do, but we're in Canada and we have no idea how to repair our credit. We don't know where to pull our free credit report from. And it's a situation where we need help. Do you offer Canadian credit repair? Do you teach Canadian credit repair? So I spent a few months researching, doing some research, putting some books together, and I came up with a Canadian program that you guys in Canada can start using to repair, rebuild, and restore your own credit. So there's a few books that I wrote. So the first book is Forbidden Credit Canada, all right? Forbidden Credit Canada, this was the first book that I wrote. This is inside of the course. The second book that I had was the Credit Building Playbook, right? The Credit Building Playbook, and these are for Canada. All right, guys, these are for Canada because if you can see, Canadian credit score ranges from 300 to 900. All right, so for those of you who didn't know, Canada's credit score system, it goes from 300 to 900. All right, where is it? 300 to 900. I also created a step-by-step checklist. Now, this step-by-step checklist for Canadians, this is free. When you get the credit repair kit, this is absolutely free. So you'll get this when you get the credit repair kit, the Canadian credit repair kit to start. So this is for all my people in Canada. I made a few goodies for you because I was told that all you make is stuff for the US and Canadians need help too. Now, Canada, this is your version of the debt collection killer pack, all right? So the Canadian version of the debt collection killer pack, this is here. You can find all this information on DaraineDelevante.com when you go to store, and you will see Canadian credit repair, all right? So this is the debt collection version. It speaks to you about debt collection in Canada, what you can do. Next, I have the credit repair starter kit, right? The Canadian credit repair starter kit. This has a lot of information in there as well, ladies and gentlemen. A whole lot of information. Y'all in Canada, you all are really going to love the materials that I put together. And then finally, the last one I made, it's more like a pamphlet, but this is the ABCs of Canadian consumer laws. It's super easy. Canada does not have a lot of complicated laws like we do here in the States. Canadian laws are pretty straightforward. These laws get straight to the point. Their laws are governed by their provinces. It's not like there's a big federal law and then everybody has to follow those federal laws. No. In Canada, the provinces, which would be equivalent to our states, each state has their own laws for personal information being stored, consent being obtained. Each province has their own version of the law, their statute of limitations. Canadian statutes of limitations is one of the best statutes of limitations that I've seen. Let me give you an example. Canadian statute of limitation for debt collection is 3 years or less. Some province is 2 years, some province is 3 years. And let's say they did a debt settlement, right? Well, most of us over here would do a debt settlement. Well, and a debt settlement over here stays on your credit for 7 years. In Canada, a debt settlement stays on your report for only 3 years. Bankruptcies. When it comes to the statute of limitations in Canada, a bankruptcy only stays on your credit report for 6 years. In the US, a bankruptcy stays on your credit report for 10 years. Big difference. Like, huge difference. So y'all see what I'm saying? So learning Canadian law over the past few months, it has been an eye-opener. So next on the list, I'm going to go to UK. So I'll be making a program for the UK, then I'm making a program for South Africa, then I'll be making a program for Australia. There's going to be different consumer laws. So I got a whole bunch of stuff that's going to be coming out later on, but I wanted to dedicate this version, this first part of the live to Canadian credit repair because I have been promising them that I will get their courses ready, teach them what they need to know about Canadian credit repair. So let me go over some of the stuff now that's inside of the book that I learned during my research and putting this course and everything together, right? So Canadian credit repair ranges from 300 to 900. That's 600 points. Most people don't know that Canadian credit repair has 600 points in their credit score system. Now, there's two main credit scoring system in Canada. Can anybody guess and tell me what the two main scoring system is in Canada? Who knows? What's the two main scoring models that are used in Canada? Does anyone know the two major scoring system that is used in Canada for credit repair? All right, I'm going to take your silence as you don't know. All right, so in Canada, you have the FICO system. There is a version of FICO in Canada. However, they also use the Vantage scoring models. So Canada uses Vantage and FICO. Banks use FICO, lending institutions use FICO, and then when it comes to job placements, background checks, they use your Vantage scores. So two primary scores are used in Canada. The credit score ranges from 300 to 900, which gives about 600 points, right? Negative items in the US, these fall off after 7 years. Negative items in Canada, they fall off after 6 years. Like I said before, bankruptcies in Canada, 6 years. In the US, 7 to 10, right? When we're talking about consumer protection law now, even though Canada don't have a Fair Credit Reporting Act like the US, or they don't have a Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, they do have laws that govern how information is being reported. For example, there is a law called Personal Information Protection and Electronic Documents Act. I'm going to say this again. Personal Information Protection and Electronic Documents Act. It is called PIPEDA. Now, PIPEDA governs how consumer reporting agencies, aka what some of you love to call credit bureaus, PIPEDA governs how these agencies handle your consumer data. So unlike in the US, the FCRA pipe that gives consumers more control, because before any of your information is reported in Canada, the consumer has to give written consent. I'm going to say this again. Before any item of information can be reported in Canada under the PIPE law, the Personal Information Protection and Electronic Documents Act, the consumer must give consent to the reporting agencies or the furnishers for them to report that information. There's provincial laws. Each province has its own protection law. Let me give you an example. Like in Ontario, you have Consumer Protection Act. In Quebec, you have the Civil Code, or Quebec Civil Code. The dispute system now is similar. So when we're talking about the dispute system in Canada, it is very similar to the one here. So we're talking about inaccurate information. Well, let's go back from the beginning. When we're talking about disputing inaccurate information, the first thing you want to do is pull your reports. Pulling your reports enable you to see what's on there. So once you pull the reports, then you want to scan for inaccurate, incomplete, unverifiable, or outdated information, right? So once we get that going, your next step now would be to construct our draft dispute letters. Once the dispute letters are drafted, it gets sent out round 1, round 2, round 3, or round 2. It's the same process for the dispute. The only difference is the address that you're sending it. And in Canada, the addresses for TransUnion, the addresses for Equifax is already inside of this book. Now, for those of you that did not know, Canada only has 2 consumer reporting agencies. There's only 2 consumer reporting agencies in Canada. Canada has Equifax and Canada has TransUnion. So Equifax Canada and TransUnion Canada. Only 2 consumer reporting agencies are in Canada, right? Now, when it comes to debt collection is ruled or is governed under their own provincial law. So debt collection in Canada is completely different from debt collection in the US. What does that mean? It simply means that the statute of limitations for collecting a debt in Canada is 3 years or less. What that simply means is that a creditor or a debt buyer, a collection agency or whatever, only has 2 years to 3 years, depending on which province you're in, to collect on that alleged debt and can legally sue you on it, right? Then we're talking about consumer laws, FICO. So the 2 credit scoring models that they use in Canada, the 2 credit scoring models that are in Canada. Earlier, I told you guys that FICO is in Canada and Vantage. Now, Vantage in Canada is split 2 ways, right? The 2 ways Vantage is split is between Equifax and TransUnion. So TransUnion, what is called Empirica Score. It's their version of the Vantage. And then Equifax uses ERS, which is Equifax Risk Score. So Equifax uses their Vantage model. It is called ERS in Canada, Equifax Risk Score, and then TransUnion used the Empirica Score. Now, when it comes to the 5 factors of your credit, right? FICO's 5-factor, the 5 factors of credit, however you want to call it. Payment history, utilization, length of credit, mixture of credit, and new credit. Remember, Canada ranges from what? They ranges from 300 to 900. So that's 600 points. While in the US, we go from what? 300 to 850, 550 points. So as you can see, the category per point increases when we talk about the Canadian version of the 5 factors. The pie chart is still the same, 35, 30, 15, 10, 10. All right, the factors are still the same, and the percentage breakdown is still the same, where payment history contributes 35%, utilization 30%, age is 15%, new credit is 10%, and mixture of credit is 10%. Now that percentage is out of what? 600 points in Canada. So when we're talking about the payment history, payment history contributes to 210 FICO points in Canada. Utilization is 180 points. The length of your credit history, that's 90 points. The credit mix is 60 points, and new credit is 60 points. So we're talking about 210, 180, 90, 60, 60. These are how the FICO and the Vantage scores are calculated per category. Per category in Canada. So there's a lot of differences between Canadian credit repair and Canadian consumer law versus American credit repair and American consumer law. But the key thing is that they're systems. So it's safe to say that one system was built off of the other, or they use the same framework. So there's a lot of stuff. There's I also have a lenders list inside of here where the banks pull from, what banks in Canada pull from where. So it's a lot of information, guys. You're going to really, really love this score. And before I get out of the Canadian credit repair and go back to American credit repair, there's something that I want you guys to know. So I'm going to give you guys some statute of limitations real quick so you guys can see some of the big difference in Canada. So when it comes to debt collection, right? So in Ontario, the law for debt collection in Ontario is called Collection and Debt Settlement Services Act. So in Ontario, it is called Collection and Debt Settlement Services Act. And the statute of limitations for collecting a debt in Ontario is 2 years. When it comes to British Columbia, it is called Business Practices and Consumer Protection Act. That's what that law is called. And that law in Canada governs how debt collectors can operate in that province. And the statute of limitations for collecting on that debt is 2 years. Alberta, they have the Fair Trading Act, and that their statute of limitations is 2 years. Quebec, that has the Consumer Protection Act. The statute of limitations for collecting on a debt in Quebec is 3 years. Then we have Manitoba, Consumer Protection Act. No, this province is different because collection companies in this province, Manitoba, they have up to 6 years to legally collect. While in Saskatchewan, Collection Agents Act, it is 2 years, and in Nova Scotia, it is 6 years on their statute of limitations. All right. So there's a lot of great information in here, man. You guys in Canada, you're gonna love this course that I've put together, in addition to the other ebooks, the other stuff that I have made for you guys. Just to go over the books now before we close the Canadian part. So we are talking about Forbidden Credit Canada. This is the course itself. So everything, all the books fall into here. Everything Canada related comes from Forbidden Credit. This is the square root of everything. So everything is made here, and then it's taken out for different purposes. Following that, we have the ABCs of Canadian credit repair. Easy to read. We have Canadian credit repair, another easy read. This debt collection killer kit for Canada has all debt collection information, including debt collection templates. You guys will love this one. This has all your debt collection stuff already inside of it. Now, when we talk about the credit building playbook, this has a lot of strategies in here of how you can build your personal credit. Let's say you have no credit, you need some secured cards, you need some secured loans, you need some secured lines of credit, you need to be an authorized user. All of those strategies are inside of the credit building playbook. All right. And then we have this free checklist that you get when you get the Canadian credit repair kit. So the Canadian credit repair kit are these two books together. So these two books together, so the Canadian credit repair and the ABCs of credit repair and consumer laws, these two books give you a third checklist for free. So when you get these two from the website or in the funnel or wherever, it gives you this one for free. So for Canada, there's a lot of stuff, guys, for you to start. I know you're gonna say, Daraine, thank you so much, but definitely, what did I drop? You're welcome, because you guys have been asking for this program for quite a while. So the Canadian program is finished. The Canadian program is done. It is live. It is on the website. And for those of you on here are listening to the sound of my voice, this is how you can get them. So first thing is you can go to DaraineDelevante.com. All right. When you go to DaraineDelevante.com, you go to store. And once you go to store, you'll see Canada Credit Repair, right? Next is the text number. You can text me, ladies and gentlemen. And texting me, if you're in Canada, you would text the word Canada. So text the word Canada to 917-993-5238. So if you're in Canada, you're hearing the sound of my voice, text the word Canada to 917-993-5238. If you're from Canada and you're in Instagram right now, just drop the word Canada. All right. So just comment the word Canada. If you are on the live right now or watching this video, just comment the word Canada and we'll be able to set that up for you. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So that is, in a nutshell, the Canadian version of Forbidden Credit, how anyone in Canada can start repairing, rebuilding, and restoring their own credit as easy as ABC. All right. So Canada, your stuff has been prepared. Your stuff is live. Now it's up to you to start repairing, rebuilding, and restoring your own credit today. So ladies and gentlemen, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to end this stream and I'm going to start a new stream. All right. So I'm going to end this stream right now, and then I will be starting a new stream where we go into now American credit repair, and we'll talk about all the things that you guys want to talk about, credit, consumer law related. All right. So thank you very much for tuning in with me with the Canadian Forbidden Credit Canada. Thank you for this launch. Thank you for being here. The Canadian products are live. Now, people in Canada, it is time for you to go and get your credit right. See y'all later. I'm about to switch the streams and we will be back with regular credit repair.